Welcome to Ducks on the Pod, a baseball podcast with your hosts, Matt Welker and Jake Mosley. Yeah, welcome back to Ducks on the Pod, everybody. How we doing today? Today we're going over the AL Central. My name's Matt. That's Jake. How you doing today, Jake?
I'm doing great. Last division of the AL to roll through here. So
Yeah, buddy.
Excited to see what your thoughts are.
Yeah. You got anything you want to talk about before we get into the division? Spring training has started. There's been, 3 days of games now? 4 days? Today's the 24th. I think you guys had your game on the 20th, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The Keston Hero watch has already started for me. It's not going great so far. So he has one hit. It was a dribbler to third, from what I understand. I couldn't watch it live, but
hey,
that's kind of the main update I had. The Cubs signed Justin Turner, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
As part of the fallout from the Alex Bregman miss. So
were you guys actually
I don't know if you want to go into that.
I mean, if you want to, go ahead.
They made a legitimate offer. No, well, okay. So I'll keep it brief because obviously we have the NL Central coming up in a couple episodes here, but he's old, but I think it's a good thing for kind of, the young core of the Cubs. His numbers are actually scary similar to Bregman.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a very good chance that he starts to slow down. I think he's already started to slow down, but he's a consistent, good at bat in the lineup, and I think there's certainly situations where you can place him and he can, produce a little bit. I think he offers a good amount of insurance for Matt Shaw at third, kind of the great unknown with a prospect. Obviously, they think the world of him, but you need a little bit of insurance, seeing how they're going for a division championship. So I like it. He played his first.
He had pretty good percentile numbers last year. A lot of the power stuff isn't there anymore, but
no, and that's always
chase
the first
rate's
sign of
very
regression.
good, whiff rate very good, K rate, walk rate all good. Launch angle sweet spot percentage is 95th percentile.
Obviously, you're getting a huge bargain off of Bregman. You're not going to get the same defensive play. He's not very athletic anymore, I don't think. He's not going to steal bases. None of that stuff, obviously.
Pretty sure he
he's a good at bat. Yeah. He's a good at bat, though, and I think he's a good mentor for definitely Matt Shaw, right off the rip. But then you still have young guys like Pete Crow Armstrong out there, too. Kevin Alcantara, who's tearing the cover off the ball so far in spring training.
Yeah, so is Pete.
It's just a bunch of, their whole team is. But, you have a bunch of young guys, I think, doesn't hurt, especially the Cubs lost Kyle Hendricks, who we talked a little bit about when we were going through the West, and kind of that mentorship role. So, he's not going to produce a whole lot, but I think Justin Turner's at least got something in the tank. So I think that role within the clubhouse, I think, is overvalued a lot of times, but I do think it's still a necessary part. So, as a Cubs fan, I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I remember texting you about it the moment it happened, and I was like, I kind of love that for you guys. I don't know if he's really going to provide a whole lot of on-field value, but you never know what goes on behind the scenes. And I feel like that guy's a wealth of knowledge that, you could never go wrong having a guy like that in the clubhouse. And then you got my Cincinnati Reds, Austin Hayes tearing the cover off the ball too, man. 2 home runs today, 6 RBIs.
Yeah.
By the way, so he hit a 2-run double off of Tyler Glasnow, and then he hit a 2-run home run off of Tanner Scott, and then he hit a 2-run home run off Blake Trinan. Guys locked in, dialed in.
Yeah, I'm glad you're excited after one single game of spring training.
I know, I'm just messing around, but
I know you are.
It's a highlight nonetheless. All right, shall we?
Let's do it.
All righty. So again, we're going in reverse order. So we'll be going White Sox, Twins, Tigers and Royals tied last year, but we're just going to do the Tigers first. and then Royals, and then your AL Central 2024 division winners, the Cleveland Guardians. All right. For the White Sox, I'll kick us off on key departures here. So I'll just read through the departures and the ads, but then we'll start with the batters because we kind of got all jumbled last episode. So we're going to try to keep it with batters and then pitchers. But the key departures for the entire team, I mean, obviously the biggest one is Garrett Crochet. That is absolutely massive for them to lose him. I mean, yes, it was a deal to get prospects and value from the Red Sox, but he was like their only good player last year, so that kind of sucks for them. Chris Flexen, wasn't that good, but he had the most innings pitched for them last year, so that's a big hole to be missing. I included Mike Soroka, Young Moncada, and Gavin Sheets, but that's not really the craziest departures. And so one thing I wanted to point out was that 10 people on their team, at least just in their organization, left. One re-signed in Mike Clevenger, which I think is crazy that he signed a minor league deal. Just from what I remember of the guy. 6 signed minor league deals elsewhere, which that means you have 7 guys just leaving and be like, I don't even want to play for your major league team. I'd rather go play in the minors somewhere else. Either that or they just chose not to re-sign him. I don't know.
Well, they performed at a minor league level last year, so
yeah, that too. Yeah, that too. Then 2 signed major league deals. That's Soroka and Moncada. That's the only reason I put them on there. And then Nick Senzel wasn't really on their team a whole lot, but he is listed as not signing anywhere, but they actually cut him in late August last year. Key ads, though, they've got a bunch of like role players, which it's kind of fun to see who they did sign because, I mean, they're not great, but they're not horrible. Like Mike Tauchman. They did not get Mike Trout. Yeah. Mike Tauchman, the Sockman. Mike Tauchman, the Sockman, your boy from last year, hitting leadoff for him this year. That I do kind of like that 1-2 of him and Lou Bob. But then Josh Rojas, Michael A. Taylor, Austin Slater, like those aren't horrible position players. They're not the greatest, but they at least did something and signed somebody. Who am I missing?
Somebody very important, near and dear to both of our hearts.
Brandon Drury?
Yeah.
He's non-roster. He did not do very well last year. But no, we do love Brandon Drury.
He's 2 and 3 years removed from fantastic ball.
Yes.
And he's playing for the White Sox.
He did play at a very hitter-friendly park. And that's not me knocking on Great American. But
after his first year in LA was pretty dang good. It was almost the exact same year that
I just remember his last year was booty cheeks.
Look up his slash.
He had a -2 WAR, and I don't think he even played the field.
Well, yeah, last year was terrible. I get that.
All right. Wow, he has 8 years service time.
Yeah, he's been actually around for a little bit. He was. I first knew of him when he was on the Blue Jays, and was he on the Blue Jays or the Diamondbacks first? I guess I'll have the answer here in a second.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't remember who all he was with before the Reds.
He started with
Blue Jays,
Arizona.
Mets, Angels.
In 2015.
Oh, there's 2 teams in 2018. I was like, how are they not even listing the Reds? But that's when we traded them.
Dude, so the year he spent half the year with the Reds, right? That total year he hit 263 with 28 home runs and 87 RBIs.
Yeah.
His first year in LA, he hit 262, so 1 point lower, 26 home runs, which is 2 less, and 83 RBIs, which is 4 less.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same exact year. And he was one of the best players in the league when he was in Cincinnati, like the first half of the year.
Yeah. And even his season before Cincy with the Mets, like the underlying stuff's not there. And obviously he only had 88 plate appearances, but like still put up
just limited time.
Good ratio numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's so 2 out of the last 3 years, he's been ripping the cover off the ball. Last year was a lost year, anyways, for the Angels. Like first year without Otani,
Yeah.
Trout gets hurt. Like the team fell apart. Tony Rendoni's nowhere to be seen.
Oh, he's not coming back either. This is
No,
wild that we're talking about a White Sox bench player for this long.
I mean,
We do love
sorry.
Brandon Drury, though.
Go back to the hitters, please, and tell me what you're excited about here, Matt.
Lou Bob, man, stay healthy. That's all I got.
How
Um,
long is Lou Bob on the team?
I think it was 2 more years. That's why.
I'm not
That's why
talking
he
about
was
his
getting kicked
contract. Like
around.
how
Oh,
long
I
do you
thought
think
you
he
were talking.
stays on the team?
Oh, I would. I
Like
would have thought they would have
what are
dealt him already, but I don't know why they're holding on to him. To answer that
you know?
question though, he does have. So he has this year, and then 2 club options the next 2 years, which he's $20 million apiece.
Yeah,
Which
I mean,
then
20
will make
million is
him
nothing for him.
that'll make him a free agent at the age of 30. So,
It seems pretty
I mean,
movable to me if they
he's a
want.
great piece to anybody.
It's that
He's
they're not
worth.
motivated to move him for
He'll
some
give you
reason.
a, assuming he stays somewhat healthy, he'll give you a 2 WAR, which they generally say that each 10 million is worth 1 WAR. At least that's what it's expected.
Yeah.
So you would think that he'd get you 2 WAR. Fangraphs has him at 3. Um,
I'm I'm intrigued because I think if I put my head in the minds of the White Sox front office, it is like this
don't hurt
offseason, we
yourself.
aren't going to move him. Are you talking about me or are you talking about
Yeah, it's saying
him?
no. Getting your brain as the White Sox management. Don't hurt
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. It's not, yeah, not a place that I really want to be, but I'm going to be there for a second here. I can see you not wanting to move him during the offseason because during the offseason, um, it's almost like the demand is it's lower because everybody the demand as far as the quantity of teams is up there, but the demand from a trade value is lower, right? Because there's so many teams that there's so many obviously a ton of baseball to be played. So many different things can happen throughout the season. You don't really know if you're in contention or where you are in contention and what you need until you get closer to the deadline. So
Yeah,
I understand wanting to keep him, but the guy has injury concerns every single year. He's healthy during the off season.
yeah,
Like I would think that that's a good time to move. That way you don't just end up sitting on this really good player. You can't make a move this year. And then all of a sudden you're into your club options. And at that point you have to pick it up. And then you're kind of dealing with the same fate again. It's like, and he's a year older with a year
yeah.
less control. And at that point, like he's losing trade value that way too. Like you aren't going to win anything this year. I think I would have liked to cut my losses on the books and kind of move into the next phase of this rebuild before before
I
the
don't even
year
know if there is a
started and
phase.
not just yeah. I mean, he's not putting butts in the seats. Like nobody shows up to the games. They're that bad. Like
Yeah.
send him somewhere else.
What what was
Get
there?
something out of him now.
Wasn't it like you can get like the first quarter home games for like $100, something like that?
In this day and age, inflation.
Oh no, it was great. They
They're
put
not
out
even
some
worth
like
that though.
seat deal.
Oh yeah, I know. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I sent that to you.
Yeah,
They're literally not
it
worth
was.
it.
It's all March, April, and home. March, April, May home games for $125.
First
That's
third of the
crazy.
season. They're
Oh
not worth
man,
it. They really
they're
aren't.
just an absolute shit show. All right, let's
It's
actually
a
get into the
disaster.
roster. We know about Lou Bob. Everybody else knows about Lou Bob. He's great. Assuming he stays healthy, he'll be a great trade piece for somebody. Uh, Honestly, I could see them like the moment somebody's main center fielder gets hurt, he's just gone. Like
Yeah.
because then he becomes more valuable because people are like, I need to fill this hole. No better than get Lou Bob in there, which is wild that he's still 27. I didn't realize he started at 22. All right, so going down the lineup, I mean, it's not. great at all. But like I was saying before, there are some, like, I don't hate their top four. Like Mike Topman, the Sockman may have just had a great year last year for you guys. But obviously Lubob's great. Benintendi can be good. He has not been good for a very long time. Andrew Vaughn hits the shit out of the ball. And then you got Josh Rojas, Lennon Sosa, Miguel Vargas, Colson Montgomery, who is their number one prospect, who's 58th overall, according to Fangraphs. And then Corey Lee is their catcher rounding up. I mean, it's not great. They are young-ish.
It's not good when your 5-hitter is a second baseman who's a platoon player approaching 31 and is a 26th round draft pick.
Yeah.
That shows you have zero depth.
How many teams in the league do you think have their 3 outfielders hitting 1, 2, 3? I didn't look this up, so I don't know the answer.
I was going to say, if you know the answer, that's a wild thing to dig into in your prep for the show. I have no idea.
No,
I would say not any.
It's just funny to look at lineup construction and seeing weird orders of lineups, like how with the Rays, what's his face was hitting first as a first baseman.
Yandy.
Yeah, Yandy Diaz. I just couldn't think of his name at the second. I mean, I don't really have much else to add for their lineup. It's that bad.
They got a lot of any prospects who aren't here yet? Like, how's their?
Yeah, actually,
they have Joey Gallo. Why? I don't know.
There was somebody else at first. Who was it?
Bobby Dahlbeck?
Yeah, Bobby Dahlbeck. I'm not saying that he's going to break camp or anything, but it's just funny that they just have 2.
I sent you that video.
They might as well trade for Spencer Torkelson at this point.
Yeah, they should.
Just a bunch of failed first basemen.
There's only one way to go up for this team.
I don't know about that.
Did I send you that video?
As far as record, yes, they're going to win way more than 41 games. At least I would hope. But like, there's nothing even anywhere remotely sexy about this team.
No.
Like, they don't even. A lot of their teams, not even their own draft picks. Like, it's like I was saying before, they just signed a bunch of people or traded for people back when they were supposed to be good. But like, it's just crazy. It's not even like the bad people are their people. They're just other people. So it's just like, it's not even a sign of that they can actually produce talent. Like, their starting pitching kind of is, but they may just be people that showed up. Like, none of the 3 are first round picks. I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, they're starting pitching. 2 of them are 3rd round picks, and one of them's a 14th round pick. Like, they might have gotten them to the pros, but I mean, some of these guys are like fine.
Yeah, they could be in the pros because their system sucks so bad that they're their 5 best pitchers.
Exactly, which is alarming. Yeah. This organization's not doing a whole lot right. I've heard of
not at all.
Maybe 2 of their relievers. It's ugly. They don't even have like a hidden gem who's hurt right now, who's like not going to be with them on opening day.
It's not like they have like a Mason Miller.
Then you put it in. Exactly. You don't have anybody who you're excited about on this entire team except Luba.
Yeah.
And he was there last year when they stunk.
Yeah, it's baffling to me, this roster. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's just so bad.
I'll leave it with you if you have anything else to say. Like, I'm not even going to get into this pitching staff, really. Like, I'm sick. I'm just looking at this page.
I guess we can talk about something somewhat positive. So they do have 6. They do have 6 prospects in the top 100. So their highest is at 16. So it's not like crazy high, but it's also one. I mean, when you start looking at the top 100 over like 11 different positions, it's weird. I don't understand how they really rank guys above. Like, how do you put a pitcher above a catcher, for instance? But they have number 16 and Noah Schultz. He's a left-handed pitcher. The dude's 6'9". they just traded for Kyle Teal, who's number 32. He's a catcher. He came over in the Garrett Crochet trade. They also have Braden Montgomery. He's an outfielder. He's at 55 on the top 100. He also came in from that Boston trade. Then they've got 3 more guys listed. One is Hagen Smith. He's 34th overall, also a left-handed pitcher. Colson Montgomery, who's actually slated to be their starting shortstop. He's the 39th overall. And then they have another catcher, Edgar Cuero, who's the 66th overall. But the reason I wanted to actually break down all these different names is because MLB gives them an ETA. 4 of those 6, they give them an ETA of this year. So that's that pitcher, Kyle Teal, Colson Montgomery, who's the shortstop, and then actually the other catcher as well, with the other lefty pitcher next year, and then Braden Montgomery, the outfielder, 2 years from now. So it's that's, I guess, maybe the one thing that you can look forward to, but I don't believe they have anything much else after that. So it's do you let these guys get in the bigs, show some sort of face, show some sort of talent, and then just immediately deal them so you can get more prospects out of them so that you have just a huge farm of potentially good prospects? Or do you just let this rip for a couple of years? And I don't know what their financial situation looks like, but they could potentially try to add on. But I think that they would more than likely deal these people. For the sake of the game, I hope they try to keep them around, but I don't think they will. Because they're not going to be ready to compete for at minimum another 5 or 6 years.
Right. My whole theory with prospects is it's a wide net. You're not going to hit on everybody. That's partially why they're in this situation anyways, is I feel like they started to try to compete with too thin of a prospect pool, where these guys came up, obviously Lou Bob pans out, but Eloy Jimenez, no, not really, right? Garrett Crochet, there's a good one. Moncada, not so much. They had 0 backup plan. They had a hit on 90% of the guys who came up. They didn't, and now you're left with absolutely a decimated farm system prior to the Crochet deal. It wouldn't have been necessarily a good farm system at that point. They just don't have anything to put any sort of talent on the field, and it's obvious they are still so far away. No amount of money, they'd have to buy an entire new team. Seriously, how many of these guys projected to make their opening day lineup are anything more than a role player on an average MLB team?
You're saying they're starting 9?
I'm talking their pitchers too. Just how many guys on this opening day roster for the White Sox actually deserve a MLB spot on an average MLB team?
It's not very many, and that's it. It's
just Luis about Robert, Mike Tauchman might be your last.
He only started for you guys in games because he was hitting well, and you guys had injuries, right?
No, I mean he was playing very well. He was kind of the juice to the offense because we didn't have a leadoff guy for the most part, and then we started rolling with Ian Happ for a little bit. But I say we as if I'm a member of the Cubs, but no, Mike Tauchman is okay, he's a decent player. Benintendi's probably on a team, although you're still not excited about it. He's, at this point in his career, truly
he probably wouldn't be starting on a different team.
Exactly. They have a team full of bench guys, and then they have a bench of minor league guys. Mix in a couple prospects. Their staff is terrible.
Yeah. So every single this is crazy. So all 13 of their projected hitters on their team, obviously outside of Colson Montgomery because he's yet to play in the bigs, only one of them had a weighted runs created plus above 100 last year, and it was Mike Tauchman.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
That's crazy. Which one of these episodes I'm going to get into weighted runs created plus because I talk about it all the time and kind of explain what the hell it is. But basically, if you're less than 100, that means you're below average. So
yeah,
I know you know that. I'm talking to the people. All right, I'm ready to move on from this godforsaken
Please
team.
do.
We
Please
didn't
do.
really even talk about pitchers, but
I
the
don't want to.
only, I mean, as far as WAR projections, I know I don't love those, but the they don't have a starter that's projected to get more than 1.3, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is just miserable. All right, yeah, let's move on. Like they've got 5 different people in the bullpen that are projected to get saves.
Yeah. The only thing you're semi excited about is that they have what you said 6 prospects in
6
the
top
top
100
100.
prospects.
Yeah,
Yes.
they need 24 more before anything good happens. So
Yeah, I mean that's why they're like. I mean, I said 5 to 6, but like that is probably the earliest that
right.
they could even begin to try to think about competing.
This is the point where we ask, how do they make the playoffs? All other teams uh, cheat and get banned forever.
Yes.
It's the only way.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know. All right, I'm moving on. Screw this team. All right, next, the Minnesota Twins, a team that all last year I kept saying stinks, stinks, stinks. But that's mostly because they were hurt all last year. But they are a team that's fun, like the Orioles, because they have a bunch of their own grown talent in their lineup.
That's going to be a theme throughout this division, by the way. So
Yeah.
I know we've tipped our cap to organizations previously on the show. This whole division, pretty much, minus the White Sox, deserves a tip of the cap for both of us, I think, because they are littered with homegrown talent.
Yeah. So key departures this year, it's really just 2 bats. Carlos Santana, who ended up actually going to a different team in this division, and then Max Kepler. Carlos Santana had the 3rd most WAR in 2024. It still was only 2.5, but that's still very good as far as looking at the grand scale of everything. And then key ads, there's not really any, but I did write down Ty France, Harrison Bader, and Danny Coulomb. That guy's a reliever if you've never heard of him before. So they're basically the same team as last year. But if they can stay healthy, they have unbelievable talent on this team. Like Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, and Carlos Correa, and Larnach. Oh, I don't know about Larnach's injury history, but Correa, Buxton, and Royce Lewis just get hurt all the time. But when those 3 are healthy and like in the zone and getting things going, they're unreal. Like this team can be very good. They're just so injury prone, and it kind of drives me crazy.
I'll tell you what, you're a lot higher on them than me. I see a bunch of trash here again, for the most part. So your outfield, like obviously, like Buxton is one of the best players in the league when he's playing well and healthy. He's rarely healthy, and he goes long, long stretches without playing well. So,
but he's so good.
Having him, he can be, yeah. Like I mean, he can be playing at an MVP level for 2 months, but he can also be hitting 190 for the other 4 months. And at the end of the year, you look up and say, "What did this guy really do for me besides make some exciting plays?" Like, I don't necessarily think Buxton is. He's way more talented than he is good, if that makes sense.
It's fair. He's a crazy athlete.
Yeah,
I'm shocked that they're even still putting him in center. Like
just
he
preserve his
gets
health.
hurt. Yeah, it's like it's just
so much
like
of his
any other
speed.
star of a team. Yeah, but it's like so I know he's nowhere near comparable to Aaron Judge, but like they're moving him to right. Mike Trout's getting moved to right. I understand he's not to the caliber of these 2 players, but like it's starting to become more of a trend because you don't want to do load management like they do in basketball. Like that's not.
No, you can't.
It's not doable in baseball, really, especially with your top talent. Like, because it's not really a team game. It is, but it isn't. So like you need to have your studs playing in order to continue to be good and try to win. All right, you talk because I need to mute for a second.
Okay. So like Correa and Royce Lewis, I think they both are incredible hitters. Once again, as long as they're healthy. So that part of the team I think is good, but we've just named three guys. That's a third of your lineup. And I think the rest of these guys are mediocre. Like one of the big issues I had with them last year is they had Kepler, they had Wallner, they had Larnach. They're all three very similar players, so I think they addressed that a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're swapping out primarily Kepler for Ty France. It's like that. There's a lot sexier things than Ty France coming to be the savior for your terrible offense. Like he's projected to hit
34th round, 1017th
exactly.
pick.
Like and it's not that he's a bad player. It's just I don't think they did anything. Yeah, I don't think they did really anything to actually improve their offense.
No,
they have. I don't want to jump like too far to pitchers, but like offense is not their strength. They're very reliant on 3-4 guys, which is kind of in the same boat as like the Blue Jays type of conversation or the Athletics. Like
like it's
just kind of unsexy after the top.
It's my least favorite type of roster construction because it's just generally pretty boring. Like I do love pitching, but it's still boring baseball. I think that's why every year I'm just like the Twins suck. I don't know why everybody says they're so good. So I am in agreement with you. I don't think their lineup's that good, but Correa, Buxton, and Royce Lewis can be elite. They just need to stay healthy. But agreeing with you here, their starting rotation is very nice. Like that top three of Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober is so good. Like that's a three-headed snake that's going to scare you. And if they can somehow get into the playoffs, like that three's that's a scary three to be going against in any sort of series. And then you got Simeon Woods Richardson and Chris Paddock, who aren't horrible either. Right? I think Woods Richardson's a little bit better, but Chris Paddock as your fifth is not a bad option at all.
Not at all. Yeah, it's just going to be boring baseball, though. That's the only
correct. And then even their pen is mostly good. They've got some weird arms, but I mean the back end of Griffin Jackson, Joan Duran, those two are as good as they can come. Yes.
Filthy.
I can't say I've ever heard of Cole Sands before. I didn't watch a whole lot of Twins baseball last year. But he's ranking in at 59th. So that back three, I mean, that's pretty good to have 59, 7, and then 19th as far as power rankings go in your pen. If you're up, there's a good chance you're holding on to that lead and getting the W.
Yeah, you're not going to need a whole lot of offense, which might be why they didn't do anything too crazy. But the staff is maybe second best staff. I know we haven't gone through all the teams, but I would say second best staff in the AL behind the Mariners.
Yeah, nobody's going to top the Mariners. I'm trying to think if the guards, I don't know if their rankings off the top of my head, but I'm trying to think if, obviously we're going to get into them in a little bit, but I don't know if I could confidently agree with number 2, but I think that's not out of the realm of possibilities by any means. I mean, I think
a lot of people would put Boston up there with the addition of Bueller and Crochet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like the Twins a little bit better. I know we talked about Walker Bueller a lot last episode, but
I feel like Rangers could be up there if DeGrom gets back to his form. I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree with.
I'm still taking the Twins.
All right, cool.
And they're going to perform better because they get to go against the White Sox, and Like, no offenses in this division are like crazy.
Yeah.
So you get to play most of your games against.
This division sucks. As
It
far
kind of
as like
does. Yeah. This is.
as far as excitement and offense, this
Mm-hmm.
division is so boring. Which is funny because I feel like for some reason I feel like the Centrals are normally offense kind of heavy. I don't know if I'd say heavy, but like I feel like they always have good offenses because they're generally smaller parks, and it just makes it way more exciting, especially because
Yeah.
the
Not
Central is
here.
filled with cities that nobody really cares about outside of probably Chicago.
The Heartland.
Yeah. All right. So key prospects. They do have 3 in the top 100. They actually had the 3rd overall, and a guy named Walker Jenkins. Great name. He's an outfielder that's supposed to come up next season. But then these next 2, um, they have number 37 and Emmanuel Rodriguez. He's an outfielder that is projected to be with the club this year. He is not being projected as far as on their team currently, but his ETA was listed as this year. And I believe he played a little bit. I didn't get deep into his stats, but then they've got a guy at the 61 overall position. His name is Luke Keyshaw. Apologize if I don't say that correctly, but he's listed as a second baseman, outfielder, and first baseman. So ultimate utility guy, also slated to come up this year. So they could get some help there. I didn't look at these guys' bat profiles to figure out if they're even any good. But a couple notes I did want to hit on, and we already kind of did on this first one. Actually, on both of them, to be honest, lots of draft capital in the starting lineup, but there's also a lot of question marks there, and that the rotation's great and the back end of the bullpen is great.
Agreed.
Agreed. All right, man of many words.
Yeah, I mean,
It sounds like we want to move on, and I'm fairly certain that we talked for the White Sox longer than we did the Twins.
yeah, I mean the White Sox are just newsworthy because they stink. So
It's fun to shit
I'm
on
good
them.
with getting onto the better teams in this division.
I don't know how much better they are, but we can. So you have nothing else to add for Twins?
No, I'm good. I don't think they're good. I think the other teams are better.
They're
Simple
not
as that.
good. Other teams better.
I mean,
Actually,
I'm
there's one
not
thing I
going to
wanted.
spend any more time on it.
I know.
Go
There's
ahead.
one thing I wanted
If
to
you got
ask you. Is
more,
there? No. This is just about the division in general. So far we've had
okay.
at least one team from each division so far with ballpark updates. Do we have any
Nobody.
prepared in the division? Nobody.
We're actually through all the ballpark updates already. There's
Oh,
only
that's
3.
no fun.
I know. Trust me, I'm excited about it too. Talking ballparks, but we'll have that be something to get us through the dog days. Nice
Yeah,
little ballpark updates. I'm sure some park is going to play super weird. It's going to be the whole debate of like
like the
it's going to be
Guardians
like
right field of
all of a
last year.
sudden, all of a sudden it's just going to be like a huge notorious hitter friendly park is now pitcher friendly, and everyone's going to wonder why. And is it the park? Is it the weather? Is it some minor update that they made? Yeah, right field in Cleveland they took out shipping containers or something, and all of a sudden the wind just completely changed over there. There will be something goofy that we'll be able to talk about at some point this year. So we'll save that topic for then.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. I know that much. I do love talking just the random nuances of baseball. So that's always a fun one for me. All right, so let's move on to the Detroit Tigers. Came into the wild card
You want
last
to
year,
kick it off?
made some noise in the wild card last year, knocking out the Houston Astros in 2 games. Key departures, I really only had one. There's Shelby Miller. That's actually the only one that's on there. So he left for Arizona on a minor league contract. Who cares? Moving on. But they did add some key guys. They did add Gleyber Torres, who is going to be slating right in at second base. Jack Flaherty, he did pitch for them last year. They traded him at the deadline to the Dodgers, and they actually got Trey Sweeney and one of their prospects. So I'm not going to hold his name off right now because I'm going to talk about him later. But then they did also add two different middle relievers. They're one's top 100, the other one's kind of just outside of top 100. But I mean, it's nothing really to talk about, to be honest.
You're missing one from today. Andrew Chafin.
Oh, yeah, Andrew Chafin. They brought him back.
Yeah. He's got to be a fan favorite of everybody in baseball who knows his name.
Two chicks at
just
the same
from
time.
Appearance.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Always a soft spot in my heart for Andrew
Soft
Chafin.
spot.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Soft spot.
Yeah, but then going up and down this lineup.
Don't ever let me do any accent or impression ever.
I can't wait for the days where I'm just quoting movies like the entire episode because I'm in one of those moods and you're just not going to understand a single reference.
Yeah, they'll all go straight over my head and it's going to be a drag to listen to. So,
correct. But as we've alluded to with the Twins, and you already pointed out, this lineup top to bottom is filled with Detroit draft picks. I think it's 4 number ones, couple round 2s. Then you got guys like Kerry Carpenter, who was taken in the 19th round. It's always fun to see those kinds of guys make it and then go on to hit 4th and have huge playoff hits for them. I'm going to hand it over to you. Let's talk through this lineup.
Yeah, I think they got marginally better than last year. Just with the Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres just seems like one of the guys who, like, a lot of people don't think he's good. And I'll be honest, like, even the eye test, like, yeah, he makes baseball look harder than it should be at times. Like, he makes some bonehead plays. But, like, his numbers at the end of the day are, all right. I think he's an improvement at some point. Maybe you can argue against that. I don't know. I don't know what you have prepped today. But I think that's a minor addition. I don't think they had to do a whole lot. I mean, this team's fairly young. Kerry Carpenter was one of the best hitters in baseball over the second half of last year. Just absolutely murdered the ball. So, yeah, I think the minor additions that they made is probably enough for this team, especially because, I just talked about how good the Twins rotation is. I think the Tigers rotation is just as good, especially at the top end. I think the edge goes to the bullpen in Minnesota, which is why I kind of think so highly of them. But like, this staff is no joke. So I know you told me not to talk about pitching until after, but it plays into the lineup, right? No, it plays into the lineup. Like, they don't need that much. They've already proven that what they have is enough. And I think they added a tiny bit to it. So my biggest concern for the offense is you did it last year. People weren't expecting it. A little bit easier to thrive in that situation. Like, now is when consistency becomes paramount, and you have to be able to prove that you can do it, because now there's a target on your back a little bit. Everyone recognizes that you're a good team. Like, time to consistently prove that to the point where it translates into a bunch of wins when you need them.
Yeah. They have a lot of lefties.
Yeah, they are a little lefty happy.
And they're normal. So obviously it's versus righties, but only 2 of them are listed as platoon, but they have 6 lefties in their starting lineup, and with only 1 on the bench then. Oh God, I forgot. I completely forgot about Javi Baez.
Not really the guy you want.
I'm leaving respect on his name. No, but I'm leaving respect on him. He's no good anymore, but the dude was unbelievable for the Cubs. I can tell you one thing: he's swinging his hardest every time. He's giving effort.
You want somebody to put butts in seats, like, he'll do it, for better or for worse.
He might put his own butt in the seats because he's going to get cut. I'm just kidding.
Can you
But no,
imagine if they hit on that signing? Well, like not necessarily Javi being good, but like if they didn't waste that money on him. Like
yeah,
that is another huge player that you can have. Like I don't have his contract pulled up, but it's hefty to have that in the form of a hitter that's actually impacting your lineup on an everyday basis. Like this team would be so good. I
yeah.
really, really hope that signing, that one signing, doesn't hold this team back in like over the 5 years or whatever it is that they'll be competing.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up to see if he's ever even really been good for the Tigers.
No.
And the answer to that question is no. Like the year before he signed with them, on the year, so split between Cubs and Mets. I completely forgot he was on the Mets. He hit 265, and then since then it's been 238, 222, 184 last year. So that was only half the season, but still. With, I mean, the home runs are definitely down as well, but where's the strikeouts at? Oh boy. I mean, he's a fun guy because when he actually hits the ball, it's going to go a very far way.
His strikeouts, I think people assume are always higher. The problem is he
They're just
swings
so
at terrible
ugly.
pitches. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like when he strikes out, they're horrendous. But he
Let's see
also
his
swings at just
chase
so
rate.
many pitches outside of the zone that he makes contact with.
Yeah.
Like he'll swing at
I
everything, and he can hit anything, just not consistently.
trying to find his out of zone contact rate or his chase contact rate. That's hysterical. It's 55%.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's good or
he
bad, but that seems really high.
that seems very high. I mean, I've
He's
never seen a guy be able to hook sliders down in a way like 6 inches off the plate and hook them foul down the third baseline as often as he does. It's crazy. Like he
so
can
in
put
his
the bat
career,
on anything.
in his career, so they I don't know if he just didn't qualify in 2015, but it looks like they started tracking this in 2016 chase rate. Uh so going from 2016 to this year, he's first percentile, meaning he's literally in the bottom 1% of the league. First, second, sixth, first.
Never saw a pitch he doesn't like.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, it makes his approach at the plate,
he,
easy. Swing.
he has to work on that, right? Do you think it's
At
just
this point,
impossible for him
no.
to get better? Well, it's funny too because his expected on base percentage is like the exact same thing. It capped out at 25th percentile, and then the next best year was 12th. Everything else was below 5. And last year or 2 years ago, they started keeping track of swing length. He's also the first percentile in that as well. It's just
It
such a
just goes with his
long swing.
personality. I
Yeah.
so could he get better? Yes. I don't think it's his personality to like rein himself in and be disciplined. Like I don't think that's what got him to be the good player he was. So I don't expect him to all of a sudden to change that. And that's not a knock
Yeah.
on him. Like that is, I think as a player, you just have to embrace your personality a little bit and just be authentic you, and that's going to be your best shot. And he certainly did that, and it worked out for a while. The thing is, like, once things start going downhill for a player like him, it goes downhill fast, and you hit rock
Yes.
bottom pretty dang hard. Like, you can't make a living. I mean, I guess he did make a living, but you can't continue to make a living off of like swinging at terrible pitches and making electrifying plays and this, that, and the other, because you aren't going to have the opportunity to do that when you mess up at the rate that he does,
Yeah.
swinging at bad pitches and whatnot in big spots. It's just not
Yeah.
sustainable. And
All right.
if he
Can I
goes
move
down as a
on from
flash
Javi
of,
Baez after this?
yeah, I was just going to
You
say,
can
if he,
finish. Go ahead.
if all he is a flash in the pan, like he maximized that because he is quite the flash.
Yeah. I didn't look up his contract yet, but I would love to see what it is. But going down
I'll
their
look it up
lineup,
for you.
yeah. So going down the lineup, we've already talked about how they've got a lot of homegrown talent. 5 of the guys in their starting lineup versus righties are homegrown, with one guy on the bench. But it's funny because a lot of the guys that are in their starting team both on bench and the starting lineup. A whole bunch of them have less than 1 year of service time. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them do, with one right at 1 year. But they're guys that have shown up and done well for them, like Parker Meadows. I would love to see Parker Meadows take that next step forward this year. It's only got 169 days. That's a classic service time manipulation thing going on. But he was very good for them last year, and I loved watching him play. He's a great center fielder too. I love watching fast outfielders track the ball down. As you alluded to, I don't necessarily love Gleyber Torres, but I don't really watch a whole lot of Yankees because I just get frustrated watching them. So I haven't watched him in quite a bit. But Riley Green is somebody to watch for. If you've never heard of Riley Green, that guy is very good. Slated into the third hole, playing left field. Just over 2 years of service. Guy's projected at he had 4 WAR last year, projected at 4.3 this year. A decently high walk rate too, 10%. A lot of the times when you got somebody that's younger, they don't necessarily walk that high. So that's a good thing about him as well. Then you got Kerry Carpenter, Matt Vierling, who for some reason I don't like, but he is good. I just have an irrational not liking for him. I don't know why. Which it's nothing personal against him. Maybe he can change my mind.
It seems like it might be.
Yeah. Cole Keith, Jay Chung, he's brand new, 45 days in the league. Jake Rogers, Sidney Sweeney with 45 days in the league. Just kidding, it's Trey Sweeney, but apparently they are cousins, which that sucks for him. But so Jay Chung and Trey Sweeney are both listed as top 10 of their prospects, and they're slated in the starting lineup. So that's always great to see. And then on their bench, their one homegrown guy who has one of the greatest names in the league, Dylan Dingler. Javi Baez, who we've talked far too long about. Andy Ibanez, who had a massive hit for them in the playoffs last year. Okay. And then Zach McKinstry.
6 years, 140 million, pretty flat, ranging between 20 mil and 25 mil a year. This year, he'll make 25.
Ugh.
Yeah.
They
took the L on that one.
Yeah. It's a Tony Rondoni Jr. right there.
The whole Trey Sweeney, Sidney Sweeney thing. He's lucky he's a shortstop and about as far away from any heckling you can possibly get. Just being dead center on the diamond.
Oh, yeah.
Like, imagine if that guy's a right fielder, on the road.
Oh. You got somebody sitting out on a Budweiser deck type thing, just drunk
just
as piss,
drunk
yelling at him.
Beecher bum. I can't talk. Bleacher bum. Yeah, just.
That's late at night. You'll be all right. Yeah. That would be not fun. But then you could also be like, hey, I know her. Screw you. Their lineup isn't, as we've already kind of talked about, not their strength. They definitely have some great guys in the lineup. And it was fun watching them in the playoffs last year, sweeping the Astros. But as you alluded to, their strength is definitely their rotation and just pitching in general. Tarek Skubal, I would say, is the best pitcher in the league. I don't think Skeens has shown me enough to take number one off of Tarek Skubal yet, which is saying a lot because Skeens has shown a whole bunch. Guy is unreal. We'll get to him later, but it's big that they got Jack Flaherty to come back, which I feel like fans are always like, oh yeah, we'll trade him away and then we'll just re-sign him in the offseason. That never happens. So it's fun to see that actually did happen. And then they've got that 1-2 punch again, which again, if they can make the playoffs with Jack Flaherty this time, that's a nasty little 1-2 going through. And then I feel like a lot of people sleep on Reese Olson. Guy is also very good. But it's also fun that Reese Olson drafted in the 13th round and Skubal was actually drafted in the 9th round. So I think it's kind of fun that those two have been able to I don't know if it's just individual stuff that they do with personal coaches or if it's this Tigers pitching staff or coaching staff that really gets them going. But it's fun to see guys that weren't drafted very high, especially starting pitchers, make it. And then you've got a 1-1 in Casey Mize, which I feel like you're going to say something about him, but you might not. I feel like you've talked about him in years prior. Yeah. All right. But then Jackson Jobe, who actually has 6 days of service time. Guy came up to face, I believe it was the Astros and the White Sox over like 4 innings in the last couple of days of the season. Did pretty well, but then came in the playoffs and didn't look very good. But the guy's 22. He's probably 21 at the time. We'll get over that. We'll look past that. Then the bullpen. I mean, they had the whole pitching chaos thing from last year. As you alluded to, they brought back Andrew Chafin. Jason Foley was unreal last year. I'm a big fan of Bo Brisky, another great name. And then you got Tyler Holden. He's real good, a lefty reliever for them. Tommy County, who they just brought in this year. And the other 4 guys we don't really need to talk about. I'll hand it over to you. Give me some more Tigers knowledge.
I don't have much, honestly. Like, I mean, if Flaherty's at all what he was last year, they have 2 potential like Cy Young candidates, which is kind of crazy. Definitely plenty of firepower there. As you mentioned, like Reese Olson's pretty good. And Jackson Jobe, who knows what you're going to get this year, but he's supposed to be good. Back end of their bullpen's pretty solid. Kind of crazy. Foley, undrafted, free agent.
Whoa.
In 2016, am I seeing that right?
I didn't notice that.
That is
non-drafted free agent.
Impressive.
That is.
So, I don't know. I think we're going to have to do a little deep dive on him. I should have caught that earlier. My apologies, but
yeah,
we might owe the pod a little deep dive on the Jason Foley journey to the big leagues.
Yeah. What if we did a report on all the different all the main, at least, non-drafted free agents? Because I can think of another one. TJ Friedel.
Who's that?
That's really the only one that I know of. But
you're such a homer.
He's
legitimate.
He's in the starting lineup. How many non-drafted free agents do you get in the starting lineup?
I agree. I agree. It's a good pull. I'm just saying, the only reason you know that is you're a Reds fan. Only reason.
Oh, no, yeah. I'm not trying to claim that I have deep baseball knowledge, and that's why I know that. I only know that because I'm a Reds fan. But shame on UNLV for letting that happen. Anyway, I like this team. They should. I feel like they should look to remain excited for sure. I don't necessarily see them making the playoffs again this year. But they do have 6 guys in the top 100. One of which is Jackson Jobe at number 5. You got Max Clark at number 6. He's an outfielder. He's supposed to come up in 2 years. Then the next 4, they've got the 28th, 53rd, 82nd, and 95th, one of which actually came over with the Dodgers in that Jack Flaherty trade originally. But none of them are slated to come up within the next 2 years. So they don't have a whole lot of stuff coming up immediately. So they're going to need this team to stay strong like they did last year. I don't know. I mean, I like a lot of guys in this lineup. I like the rotation. I just don't feel like I can get behind them being very good. I think they are good.
What do you think their flaw is? Their offense? Like what? They won 86 games last year, and you're saying they got better. So why don't you think they can do it?
In a bad division.
Did it get better?
No, but I mean, the White Sox aren't going to lose 120 games again.
No, but
like you have to try to lose 120 games. All right. Well, we'll see where you place them in the.
Who says they don't try to lose 120 games again?
There's no point in trying to lose.
I agree, but like if you get rid of Lou Bob off that team, they might win 15 games for all I know. That team is atrocious. They have literally nothing good going for them. The Tigers won 86 games last year. The White Sox are so bad. I don't think the Twins got any better. And I think the Guardians got worse. So I'm much higher on the Tigers than you. But we can keep rolling and
you sure
come
are.
back. I know we're
Yeah,
we're pacing pretty slow here, so let's try to make up a little bit
yeah,
of
we
time.
sure are. Trying to pull up this thing that ESPN puts out, which I've only ever been able to find this from them, but it's the MLB standings grid. It just shows in a grid format what's your win loss record against every team. So what did you say their final record was? 86?
Yep.
Yeah, 86 and 76. So they went 10-3 against the White Sox. Where is that damn tab? They went 10-3 against the White Sox. So that means that they were 3 games above 500 against all other teams. Like
Okay.
that's what I
They had
don't
Jack Flaherty for
necessarily
half a
love
year.
about this division. Yeah, I mean it's their fault that they traded them, but like you've got the Tigers going 3-10 against the White Sox. You got the Royals going, 10-3. You got the Royals going 12-1, Twins 12-1, Cleveland 8-5. Like they just absolutely beat up on the White Sox. A lot of these standings are heavily inflated by that, and I honestly don't think that the
You don't
Royals
think
or
they can go
Tigers.
10-3 against the White
I
Sox
don't.
again?
No, they can. I'm just saying. I don't think. I think there are better teams in the AL that would potentially deserve a spot in the playoffs over them because of the fact that they only play the White Sox 6 times versus 13. like,
Interesting. Okay. Hey, we'll see.
like, like the Twins. The Twins finished 82 and 80 last year, and went 12-1 against the White Sox. Like,
Yeah, they aren't good.
they're not good.
Yeah, Tigers get to play the White
It's
Sox on
just
the
I don't
road.
know.
I just think
Correct.
like there's two bad teams in the division. Like they're going to rack up wins against them because they're plenty good of a team. That might be all they need to get to the playoffs.
But here's the thing, Jake. The Tigers and Royals finished 4 games better than the Twins. That's it.
So I think the Tigers got better, and I
I'm
don't
just
think the
saying.
Twins got better.
I think I think both the Tigers and the Royals have great pieces on their team. I think honestly, I think the Tigers are a little bit more well-rounded than the Royals, which we'll get into in a second. But they're still not that great of teams. Like
All
even all
right,
the
we'll see.
projections have them all losing more games than they did last year. And
All right,
that's
let's move
with
on, and then
every
we'll
team getting
talk
worse.
about it more at the end when we rank them because I'm curious to see what
Yeah.
you have.
Is there anything else we need to talk about, Tigers?
No.
I don't believe so.
Let's
All
let's
right.
move on and
Um,
pick up the pace. I just
hey,
dropped my phone. Pardon me.
don't tell me what to do. All right, buddy. All right. Yeah, we can go quicker for sure. So moving on to the Royals, key departures. The biggest one being Brady Singer. He did get dealt away, but they did receive Jonathan India in return. But then other departures, you got Paul DeYoung and Tommy Pham. So 2 not crazy departures, but they're still good players. But then the key ads, I already mentioned Jonathan India. And then they also brought in Carlos Estevez, one of the hotter free agent relievers on the market this year. That's all I really got for departures and additions. As we've alluded to before, another great household growth team. Let's see, 7 of the 9 projected versus righties, or homegrown or amateur free agents. And then they got 2 guys on the bench that are also. So they only have four of their 13 hitters are not homegrown, which I love. With obviously Bobby Witt Jr. being the highlight of this team, the stud shortstop, drafted 2nd overall in 2019, power ranked as the 4th best player in the league, projecting at a 6.9 WAR, which is crazy. He had a 10 WAR last year, which I thought 6.9 sounded even high, but I didn't realize he had a 10 WAR last year. That guy's just unbelievable. One of the best players in the league, potentially one of the best position players in the league. What are your thoughts on this lineup here, Jake?
Bobby Witt's a legitimate MVP candidate. as long as Aaron Judge doesn't hit a million home runs. Um,
Yeah.
Besides that, I actually hate their lineup. I don't like this team.
Yeah.
I just think it's gross. It's not that I think they're
I'm
like
glad we at
terrible.
least agreed on this one.
Yeah, I like Jonathan India is like fine. Like I think he's a pretty good leadoff hitter, but he's probably going to
Yeah.
be pretty locked into being a DH on not a very sexy
Stinks at
DH.
second.
Stinks at second. Pascantino, I think, is like okay. Like I think people are higher on him than I am. Sal is I don't know how he's still doing it. Good for him.
Yeah.
At some point the power's got to drop off, and then the rest of these guys, like a couple of them have like a tool or two, but it's gross.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
don't
all
like
just a bunch of
this
role
team one bit.
players
I
in role
love
player
Bobby.
positions.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have
And
three
that's
guys who
what's
are projected
funny
to
when you
platoon,
try to yes. That's what's
which
fun about trying to
is
compare
hard.
them to the Tigers, because it's like it's just funny because Bobby Witt carries this offense. And then you
Yeah,
also get they were weirdly very clutch with some of their like not household guys. Like I wouldn't even call Vinny Pascatino a household guy, but like he was very clutch. Salvi was clutch. Uh like even just reading down this list, Michael Massey, clutch, MJ, like I feel like they were all getting hits when they needed to, but their overall numbers just sucked. Like looking at
my
the weighted runs created plus, the only person that's well over 100 is obviously Bobby Witt. He's at 168. The next highest is Salvi at 115. And then there's two guys tied at 108. Like it's not a
it's top
offensive
heavy.
generated run league, but they also play in a massive ballpark. So I mean that could factor into that, but the plus part of weighted runs created um, does factor in ballparks. So keep that in mind.
Second least favorite ballpark. I hate it.
Yeah,
Tampa, which
it
we
does have a
don't even have to
pretty
worry about
notable
this
home
year.
run in it.
Yeah, it does. Thom
Yeah,
Brenneman.
the Tom.
Is that what you're
Oh
referring to?
man, I'm. Oh, it sure is. I'm glad that you picked up
Yeah.
on that one.
Right away, brother.
I'm not sure if I'm ever going to put this
I
headset on again.
so they were 86 and 76 last year. I don't think they really did much to their team to change that. However, last year I think they maximized everything they had. I think everybody played
Yeah,
at or above where I would project them out to. So I don't think they're going to be great. Like they literally had a MVP type performance from Bobby Witt. Um, I kind of went through their lineup already and like giving my thoughts there. Are you cool to move on to the pitching?
yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Cole Reagans, I think, is legitimate. Very, very good. Seth Lugo uh, came out of freaking nowhere last year, and it doesn't look pretty. So I don't really buy it. Like I don't think his stuff is that good. I'm sure he has like some insane deception of some sort, but he's 35 and like just now figured it out. I don't like the chances of him performing at that same level as he did last year. I haven't thought Michael Waka has
Yeah,
been good forever. He somehow keeps rolling out like decent to good years. At some point, that has to stop too. I think I'm just always going to be a Michael Waka hater. He was a Cardinal, so you got to kind of just give me the benefit of the doubt there. I don't need a reason to dislike
man,
the guy besides that. But
you
I
didn't
like
shit on
their
Jack Flaherty
rotation.
though.
Yeah, I know. But Jack Flaherty's like actually really like it makes sense that he's good. And I
Yeah,
like the Tigers, but I don't like the Royals. I love Bobby Witt. The rest of the team, Cole Reagans is awesome. The rest of the team, though, like I don't like any of these guys. Their
no,
pen like is supposed to be
I'm very
good. Like I
curious.
don't think they're actually that good. I just think everybody's overprojected. I don't
I
think
don't
they're as good as
recognize
what
half the
they
names.
performed, and I don't think that they can repeat what they did last year. It just doesn't seem like a sustainable approach, like to have Seth Lugo and Michael Waka and whatever's left of Michael Lorenzen like carrying your team.
They're talking about using him as a two-way player.
Yeah, I can see
Lorenzen.
that because they don't have hitters in the back end of their lineup. Like consider using him as a two-way player too. It's just like this team's ugly, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound so.
Great uniforms.
I don't know if I'm using cynical the right way, but am I cynical here? Is that a correct use of that word?
I mean, but you're also not wrong. You're also not wrong.
I'm glad you agree with me on this.
They do also have Kyle Wright on the injured list. I don't remember his goodness for the Braves as he ended his tenure there. But he was a very high first round draft pick. I remember him being good at one point with the Braves. Looks like he had shoulder surgery back in October of 23. So I would assume he's going to be good to come back here very soon. As far as their prospects, they have 3 in the top 100. They have 20.
I was
22
praying
Jack.
you would have way more. I was praying you'd have way more for me than 3.
No. And none of them are supposed to be coming up this year. So you got number 22 and Jack Caglianone. I believe that I said that right. First baseman. Notable for hitting a home run at Florida and not celebrating it because one of their pitchers got ejected for celebrating a strikeout. And then they actually two of their remaining 3 prospects are actually both catchers. They have the number 48 and the 86, both catchers, Blake Mitchell and Carter Jensen, both not supposed to come up for the next 2 years. Yeah, I mean, they didn't really do anything this year. Adding Carlos Estevez is really good. I like that they added India to help with their offense, but you also then got rid of Brady Singer, who ranked, I believe, in the top 50 last year. So, I mean, you've made your rotation worse by getting a non-fielding all right hitter in return. I thought that the Reds absolutely won that trade. I'm sure there's people out there that disagree with me, but to your point, this team is not sexy at all, and I don't really love them, to be honest.
This has to be the least exciting division.
It's not.
It has to be.
Yeah. I would have thought that the AL West was. That's why I wanted to do them first. And just because me and you, like,
this is gross.
Yeah. Well, and we wanted to do that first because, like, me and you, that's probably the division we watch the least because it's opposite league of our 2 teams, and they play every game at fucking midnight every night. So it's hard for us to watch them here in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. Yeah, this division stinks. I want to move on to the Guardians, which they aren't really good either.
I'm ready.
All right. The Cleveland Guardians, your 2024 AL Central Division winners. Key departures: they traded away the lifeblood of their team in Josh Naylor. Just kidding. That's not actually their lifeblood, but that guy is a psychopath who gets people going. So they traded away Josh Naylor, and they got Slade Cecconi back and a second-round conditional draft pick for this year. And then they also traded away Andres Jimenez, which makes sense because they do have prospects in the wings to replace him, and he's also weirdly very expensive. I never understood his contract, but they got Spencer Horwitz, who they then the next day flipped to the Pirates for 3 pitchers. Which I believe only one of them is actually slated to be on their team this year, and I don't think the other ones are even slated as prospects. So the 2 trades were very weird to me. I don't really understand why they traded away Josh Naylor.
You don't have to know.
I guess just for value, but no, it's the Guardians are going to guard. Indians are going to Indian. They did have some D's key ads. I don't particularly love the Carlos Santana ad, but I know a lot of Guardians fans do. Just throwing it back. Luis Ortiz on that trade at the Pirates, like I was talking about. They also signed Paul Sewald, who once upon a time was a very, very, very good reliever. He has been not great recently. And then they also got Jacob Junis and John Means, which Jacob Junis will just be their long reliever, like 6-man type thing. And John Means is currently hurt. I know you wanted to talk about him, so I'm going to let you go with that.
I didn't really want to talk about him, but
Okay,
he's
never mind.
well. I mean, he's a weird signing to me. Like he's coming off of Tommy John. It's a 1-year deal with a team option. He's not even supposed to be back until like the back end of the year. So you're deciding on his option as an organization um, without a whole lot of game like innings pitched, I guess. It just seems funky to me that you would pay a guy for a full year just to hope he's good for what, maybe maximum 2 months, probably. And then you're going to make a decision on the next
Yeah, but
year.
he does have the club options, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a one club
And
option.
then
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
it.
look up. Yeah, I haven't
And
looked up to
you
figure
don't
out
need
when Shane Bieber is supposed to come back, but
Bieber had
no,
his
yeah,
surgery 2 months earlier, so Bieber should be
yes,
earlier than John Means, I would suspect. I just don't like. I don't think you need a starting
yeah,
pitcher like right now. Shane Bieber will be coming back. Obviously, he's part of their future, part of their plans. The rest of their rotation is like capable. So I just don't understand the John Means thing. We can get more into the pitching in a second here, but um, I just don't get it.
yeah,
But then again, just like you were saying, I don't get the Carlos Santana move. Like for some reason, the Guardians, like this organization, is just one of those organizations where it might not make sense, but it always works somehow. I don't really see the forest through the trees here.
yeah.
It
It's
just
gonna work.
happens to work. Yeah, like the Guardians are just going to Guardian. For some reason, it always works. The
Yeah,
decisions that they make like don't necessarily make sense in a conventional way, but for some reason, like I don't know if it's the management of the organization, the management of the team, whatever it is, no matter what, like I have all the faith in the world that they're just going to figure it out. They're going to be a very good just baseball team,
yeah,
regardless of the names that are in that lineup, and they're going to figure out a way to produce with what they have.
yeah. And I want to very badly be like, yeah, it's because they're in a dog shit division, but I feel like they still kind of do well against all the other teams in the league every single year too. Like looking at that same standings grid thing I was talking about before, really the only team that did work to them last year was the Astros, at least in the AL. They went 1-4 against them. Everybody else was at least right around 500 or better. The Yankees went 2-4. That's the only other team they lost to. It's just they're a weird team. I don't understand it. I think it's because they cheated and put a wind tunnel in right field that nobody else figured out until later in the year. But no, what I think's funny is that I feel like they always have these unknown guys that come up through their system, but I feel like they don't really have that as much anymore. Like there's definitely still a lot of their team listed on there, and it's big names of their team like Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez. Um, but I feel like their roster is normally just made up of like nothing but their farm guys, especially in the rotation. I mean, they got three of them in there now. Which I thought Ben Lively actually originated with the Guardians. I don't know, but um, they have usually their strength is a rotation. Uh, it's not necessarily going to be that. Maybe once they get Shane Bieber back, if John Means actually comes back at any sort of good timing, does well. But normally, like I was saying, their rotation's their strength. That ain't going to be the case this year. It's not bad, but it's by no means anywhere near the level that's had been the last couple of years. I'm also excited to see if Tristan McKenzie can get it going again. Guy a couple of years ago was real good. Didn't have the greatest of seasons last year. But he's fun to watch, especially when he's got his big afro. It's a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, their rotation is all capable, at least. Like, even if you aren't impressed with any individual guy necessarily, like, you can try all 5 of those guys out there and have a chance to win.
Yeah. Well, and their bullpen's just unreal. The bottom 3, Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith, and Emmanuel Clase, like those 3 are top 30 relievers and just destroy people. Like this is another just kind of boring team. Like they were fun because Josh Naylor is a psychopath, and every time he hit a big home run in Big Christmas, John Kensky Noel, every time they just hit a big home run, they just lose their minds and get the people going. But then it's really their pitching that has been their strength at least last year and the last couple seasons.
This is one of the teams that I think a lot of people, like to your point, like think they're boring because of the lack of like superstar names. Obviously, Jose Ramirez certainly qualifies as that. But they're one of my favorite teams to actually watch play baseball because on any given day, they are willing to do whatever it takes to win a ball game.
Fundamentals.
They'll like put on 15 different hit and runs with like Austin Hedges will be the runner in a hit and run situation. Like it doesn't matter. Like if they have a scouting report or something, like they try to exploit it. I think it's tough to prepare for. I think it's tough to beat because a lot of those things are like aspects of the game that don't slump. Like you can always put pressure on the defense by running. They do that a ton, and it's not necessarily like stolen base attempts. It's we're going to make you think and compete on every single pitch. And most teams, let's be honest, like don't do that on a consistent basis. Like a lot of teams sit around, they wait for a home run, they hope their pitcher's on, and by the 4th inning, if they're down by like 5 runs, it's just kind of like, all right, like unless you have a stud offense or the other team like throw some junk relievers out there, like you're probably not getting back in the game. Just there's not that fight. But the Guardians, like they always are feisty, and then their lineup kind of like shows that as well, right? They have 4 switch hitters in their lineup. Yeah. Like they're going to be tough. Yeah, like for some reason
versus a righty, they're capable of having 1 righty in their lineup.
Yeah. Like, so
that's crazy.
They're giving themselves like these really small advantages, but they're doing it across the board, like in all these different aspects that like they're going to be a tough team to beat for some reason. And one day it might be because they have Noel and Ramirez hitting 2 home runs each. And then the next day it might be, some random guy, Brian Rocchio, if I'm saying that correctly, like stealing third base with 2 outs. And you're like, why did you do that? Well, they have a reason, and they're going to manufacture runs. They're one of those teams. They've always been one of those teams. They continue to trade guys away when they seem to be in their prime, and they always come out on top. And they always get the right old like vets in the clubhouse to still contribute to the team. And I think that's like the Carlos Santana signing this year. Like, I don't think he has anything left in the tank, but the fact that the Guardians do, I'm in. I buy
it. Dude, they're literally the central Rays.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, like, and it's weird because they have. I haven't been able to figure out how these power rankings are actually like if it's saying Jose Ramirez is 5th. I would assume that's 5th of all batters.
Bobby Witt was 4th.
Yeah. So
sure, Aaron Judge was 1.
Yeah, and it's fun though because looking up and down their roster, they've got 5 guys in the red, which I believe red is just top 30 at their given position, or like I would assume infielders are all ranked together, outfielders are all ranked together. Or maybe it's just hitters in general, but like they've got all these studs, but then pitchers. Like everybody else is like ranked 200th or worse. It's just
Yeah.
it's a fun team because it's like on any given night, some schmuck that nobody knows, like obviously me and you know who they are, but some schmuck that nobody knows is going to be the winner of their team. I mean, it could honestly be Steven Kwan or Jose Ramirez, but they're just a fun team that seems to get stuff done. But I don't really understand how.
No, I mean, they're going to be very reliant on guys without a whole lot of experience this year. So there's definitely a path for this to get ugly. But I'm not surprised with any outcome.
No. So they do have 3 guys that were ranked in their top 30 from last year as far as prospects goes. But wait, why isn't Juan Brito in there? Anyway, but they have like no time. They're also none of them are on the top 100. So I'm very curious to see how those guys pan out. Like Juan Brito doesn't have a single day of service. Jonathan Rodriguez only has 24. And then they've got a guy in the pen that we don't need to talk about. He only has 18 days. But their remaining prospects, they've got 4 in the top 100. Go ahead.
Is Manzardo still a prospect? Probably not, right? He's at 73 days. So just adding on.
I think that is
your point.
So they haven't released all the different org rankings of this year for each team. They've done the top 100, but they don't have every team done yet. I think some teams are, but they are not one of them. So we're kind of left. That's why I've only been pulling top 100 guys. But they do have 4 guys in the top 100. So they do have Travis Bazzana, number 10th overall, second baseman. He's supposed to be up this year. Chase DeLauder's supposed to be up this year. He's an outfielder, ranked 36th. Then they got two other prospects at 60 and 62, respectively. One's an outfielder, one's an infielder, and they're not supposed to come up for the next couple of years. And actually, is this Jackson Chiria's brother?
I believe so, yeah.
Because I was going to look that up, and I completely forgot to. Yeah, it looks like it is. That's fun. I'm curious if he's going to have any sort of flash that his brother does, or at least his relative. Could be a cousin. But yeah, I mean, so their farm has some guys coming. It's not a whole lot. And what I find interesting about it is that none of those 4 are pitchers, because that's normally where they excel, is getting pitching prospects, and then turning those guys into absolute studs.
They'll find some like 30th round pick and do that. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, Travis Bazzana was just drafted, and he's supposed to be coming up this year. That's wild. I love that.
Fast track.
Yes. I don't believe I have anything else to add.
I'm good to move on to just where you see this division shaking out.
Yeah. I see it at least as I don't 100% see it. This seems like as far as the records go, but the only team that I see differently as far as the standings goes is Minnesota being first, as far as comparing it to Pacoda. As we talked about before, like they have good players, but we both just generally don't think they're that good. But
so Pacoda has Minnesota being first. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, okay. At 86.8 wins, which is roughly 5 more than they had last year. Yeah, so here, I'll do this. Minnesota is projected at 86.8. I'm just going to round. Minnesota, 87 wins. Royals, 82 wins. Guards, 80. Tigers, 79. White Sox, 62. Which is funny because that's 21 more than they had last year.
So it's a 4-team race.
So Royals
You're
lost
only
4.
One in.
Yeah, Royals lost 4. Guards lost 12. Tigers lost 7, Twins gained 5. Like I believe I said this during the AL West episode, but I don't see this division putting in more than one again this year.
I couldn't agree more with you there.
It's not quite what you said about the Tigers, but I won't drive into that too hard.
I only think the Tigers are in.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fair. You think they're winning the division, huh?
I do, yeah. I think they're the only team that got better. And I think they've already proven that they can compete there.
All right. So who do you have second then?
Guards. And I don't know how they're going to get there, but they are.
So I'm guessing then your third is Royals, Twins fourth?
If the Twins stay healthy, they're easy third. Those two teams like are interchangeable. Like they're going to end up within a couple wins of each other. I think they're probably just below 500 if I had to guess. I don't think I have to plant my flag on who comes in third or fourth necessarily.
Fair.
In a division where I don't think like they're seeing the playoffs. So
no.
If a gun to my head, I'll take the Royals third just because of Bobby Witt being incredible. Right. Yeah, I hate that though. I hate that. And then obviously White Sox are last. Like we just talked about their team for like 30 minutes today. I still have no idea who's on it.
Correct. How do I even see this? Like I want to put the Twins high, but I feel like in good conscience I can't. All I ever do is say that they stink. But they do have –
it's a new year, Matt.
They do have good pieces. And I like Wallner and Larnach. I feel like they're going to get better and add on. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going with Pacoda standings. I'm saying the Twins, even though I probably 2 hours ago would have said that the Twins finished third or fourth, I'm putting them back in the playoffs and winning the division this year.
Unbelievable.
Which I think probably – Tigers, Royals, and Guards are probably all within like 2 games of them. I feel like this top 4 is going to be all within 4 games of each other, pretty much.
Can't wait for August and September to come, and you like really start locking into standings and division races. And This is going to be the division we have to suffer through and watch baseball for. Because it's going to be a 4-way race. Like
the two centrals,
like none of these teams are good enough to like really separate. So it's going to be a battle to the end. Obviously, deadline is going to come into play.
Yeah,
here,
or it won't because they're all going to be 500 and not knowing whether they should buy or sell.
Yeah,
which is my least favorite position to be in as a fan of that specific team. Because like. There's optimistic fans and there's pessimistic fans. Fans that think about nothing but money, fans that think about nothing but talent. And it's just like it just creates all this chaos within a fan base, and it kind of drives me crazy.
My strategy at the deadline, if you're confused, sell. Because if you're confused, you're probably like not only do you need a piece to be unconfused about what you're doing and get better, but the other teams around you are also going to get better. So really you need to get like 2-3 pieces. Usually like one of those is a random bullpen arm, like whatever. You can kind of get that fairly cheap for the most part. But like if you need 3 pieces, you're too far away probably. Like it's going to cost a fortune.
Unless it's like 3 bullpen arms.
That good. Right.
Yeah, I feel like when you're buying at the deadline, like you already feel good about your team. You're just supplementing.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
You're probably just upgrading your worst rated position, or I guess also pitchers. But I mean,
it doesn't make sense to me to be like, oh, we might be good if we're 1 piece away. Yeah, you're 1 piece away today, but then the second you make that move, another team in the division makes a move, and you're like, well, shit. Now we just gave up prospects, and now we have to give up more prospects just to like once again like get that half level ahead. That might not make the difference.
I'd be curious to see like if some of the more recent blockbusters at the deadline, how much. I mean, I guess you could just look at it with WAR, but how many wins they like actually generated for each team.
War's so tough, especially on a
yeah,
short-term basis. I'm a big believer in war for long-term, and we this is
long term in
probably a
history.
conversation, yeah, for another day. But I saw something on social media today that I thought was funny and like it because it Reds ties, but it's pretty much said
Oh,
that
it was William
war's
Opena, wasn't
stupid.
it?
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah, you saw that. Yeah,
Yeah,
us never being in a dugout of a even minor league team. You know, like
it's
we've
so
done
stupid.
absolutely nothing to contribute to any organization. Our WAR is higher than Willie Mo Pena had over what was it, like 8-10 years, something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that man hit a ball over the batter's eye at Great American, and I believe I
Yeah,
was
I
sitting in the
mean,
diamond seats for that second row, right behind him when he hit it.
wow, humble brag.
Just an absolute,
Good for you.
yeah. I want to say it was a 498.
That's insane.
That thing was crushed. Um, all right.
All
Do
right,
you
this
have
one's
anything to
run
add about
long,
the?
so I am good.
Yes. Yeah, I am also good. So next time, we're actually going to be switching to a much more fun division in the NL West. We'll keep it with West, East, Central.
No, we're doing NL East. I thought. Do
No.
we want to end Central and West?
All right, fine. We'll switch to the East. I don't
That's what
care. We haven't recorded it,
I
so it
thought.
doesn't
That's what you
matter.
told me. Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
I
I
was
thought
just
you
going to go
wanted
in the
to.
same order that we did the AL, which
I
was
mean, I'm
West,
good
East,
either
Central.
way.
Yeah,
I'm good
we'll
either way.
decide.
I thought you wanted to end with the Cubs and Dodgers.
Of course. Oh, so that's fair.
Dodgers are in the West.
Yeah,
See, this is
I
your
know the Dodgers
brainchild
in
that
the
you can't
West.
keep up with.
No, 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 no. I've always
I'll pull up
said
the text. All
West,
right.
East,
Well,
Central,
all right.
but I
All right.
wanted to make sure that we had those two in by the
Mm.
time Japan happens.
We'll check the receipts.
Yeah, good luck at that. You never check your tests to begin with, so I don't know how you're going to find history.
I don't
Anyway,
check them. That way I never delete them.
so for right now, I guess we're planning on doing the NL East. So look forward to that. That should be a fun one because it's an absolute three-headed snake there. Potentially a fourth sneaky team. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think they'll be threatening to win the division, but they could be making some weird noises. But yeah, so next time we got NL East. Today was talking to AL Central. I'm bored and I'm tired because I hate talking about this division. But that's all I got. We'll see you guys next time for the NL East. See ya.
See ya.